You've been carrying the same energetic blueprint, a silent resonance that has defined your journey for months, perhaps even years. This isn't just a metaphor. It's a verifiable signature within your quantum field. You've experienced the familiar pull of reactive patterns, the echoing loop of an internal dialogue that feels like a broken record, the gravitational force that steers you towards experiences, relationships, and situations that are deeply familiar, yet consistently leave you feeling an inexplicable emptiness, a profound yearning for something more. But listen closely, because right now, in this very moment, something profound is stirring within you. It's a current, running deeper than mere willpower, or the transient optimism of positive thinking. This isn't just a fleeting impulse, it is the genesis of a fundamental shift. You are beginning to witness the quantum signature of transformation itself. Those unmistakable frequencies, like cosmic ripples, that emerge only when your consciousness is ready, truly ready, to collapse into a new, elevated reality. This isn't about passively hoping for change to magically appear on your doorstep anymore. This is about actively recognizing, feeling, and engaging with the intricate field mechanics of how your new life announces its imminent arrival. What precisely guided you to this exact moment, to this specific transmission, resonating with these very words? It's not the superficial narrative your logical mind might construct about algorithms or random recommendations. No, there's a far deeper, more intelligent current at play. A subtle yet undeniable guidance that directed your attention precisely here, now. You could easily dismiss it as mere coincidence, a statistical anomaly. But there's a knowing within you, an ancient wisdom stirring in your cells, that recognizes this isn't random. You are starting to viscerally feel the profound coherence, the harmonious alignment between your inner state of readiness and the external information, the synchronicities that are appearing in your observable field. That growing coherence is not just a pleasant feeling. It's the definitive first signal that your entire reality matrix, the very fabric of your perceived existence, is actively reorganizing itself. Most people mistakenly imagine that transformation feels like an overwhelming surge of inspiration or a sudden, crystal-clear burst of motivation, like having an instant blueprint for every step to take next. But anyone who has authentically stood at the threshold of a genuine, quantum-level shift knows, with every fiber of their being, that it feels nothing like that. Instead, it feels like profound dissonance, a cosmic static, like being tuned precariously between two radio stations. You catch fragmented echoes of who you were, ghostly whispers of the old self, interspersed with tantalizing, fleeting glimpses of who you are rapidly becoming. Yet, you can't quite settle, can't quite lock into either frequency. This uncomfortable in-between state is not a bug, it's a feature. When that intense tension, that energetic friction, arises, it's a perfectly natural human instinct to question everything. You might wonder if you're actually moving towards something real, or if you're simply generating internal chaos, a storm of uncertainty within your own consciousness. Let me be absolutely clear. That uncertainty, that sense of energetic limbo, is not a sign that you're doing something wrong. Quite the opposite. It is the undeniable signature of consciousness itself, expanding, stretching, and pushing beyond its current, familiar configuration. Think back to the last time you promised yourself a different way of being, a new pattern, a new internal state, only to find yourself, within a matter of days or even hours, back in the gravitational pull of those very same, well-worn patterns. Perhaps you committed to responding thoughtfully rather than impulsively reacting, then caught yourself mid-sentence, caught in the familiar grip of the same old emotional loops. Or you consciously decided to trust your intuition more deeply, only to find yourself second-guessing every subtle impulse, every quiet knowing that arose. The next morning inevitably brought with it that familiar wave of frustration, accompanied by the quiet, insidious voice, asking why genuine, lasting change feels so utterly impossible for you. These repeating cycles, these apparent regressions, are not personal failures. nor are they evidence of your inherent weakness. They are, in fact, the natural energetic resistance that emerges when consciousness attempts to reorganize itself without fully understanding, without fully integrating the fundamental quantum mechanics of transformation. What's truly fascinating, and backed by cutting-edge neuroscience, is that the brain actually creates more neural noise, more internal chaos, just before breakthrough moments. It's as if the current, established system has to deliberately destabilize, has to enter a phase of productive chaos, before a new, more coherent order can gracefully emerge. That uncomfortable, ambiguous middle space, where absolutely nothing feels certain, where the ground beneath your feet seems to shift with every breath, is not evidence that you're stuck, destined for perpetual limbo. It is, in fact, irrefutable proof that the very field around you is becoming more fluid, more malleable, more exquisitely responsive to the infusion of new possibilities. You are experiencing this profound turbulence right now because the solid foundation you thought you were standing on is actually becoming quantum, vibrating, shifting, and oscillating between countless probable realities, waiting for you to consciously choose which one to collapse into stable, observable experience. Imagine, for a moment, someone who feels these powerful stirrings, these deep internal nudges for change, but immediately attempts to explain them away, to rationalize them into oblivion. They notice the profound restlessness, the undeniable sense that something vital needs to shift within their life. Yet they convince themselves it's merely stress, or overthinking, or just a temporary phase. They busy themselves frantically with familiar distractions, returning to the same relationships that no longer serve, the same comfortable but numbing routines, the same old, limited way of processing experience. Time continues its relentless forward march, but they, tragically, remain trapped within the same vibrational loop, like a record skipping endlessly. Eventually, life, in its infinite wisdom and unwavering commitment to your evolution, presents them with the same urgent invitations for growth, often amplified, often through the catalyst of crisis or disruptive challenge. This is because the universe, in its boundless love, never, ever gives up on anyone's evolution. You've probably noticed this undeniable pattern etched into your own personal timeline. Moments when you felt the powerful, undeniable call to expand, to leap into the unknown, but chose the illusory safety of the familiar instead, only to find yourself facing remarkably similar challenges later on, often with increased intensity, with a sharper, more insistent demand for your attention. This is precisely where you begin to understand the profound weight, the sacred significance of your choices. And I'm not talking about the dramatic, life-altering decisions that grab headlines, but the quiet, seemingly insignificant moments, the subtle, energetic pivots, when you either lean gently, trustingly, into the vast, exhilarating unknown, or retreat cautiously, fearfully, into what feels manageable, predictable, and ultimately, limiting. Each time you choose expansion over contraction, you are literally, physically, energetically shifting your quantum field, reorganizing your very reality at a fundamental level. Each time you choose the familiar over genuine growth, you are, just as literally, reinforcing the same old probability patterns, solidifying the very limitations you wish to transcend. But here's the truth that changes absolutely everything. The universe, this conscious, living cosmos, operates precisely like consciousness itself, infinitely patient, endlessly creative, always presenting new opportunities for awakening, for deeper understanding. It does not punish you for past choices. It holds no judgment for your moments of resistance. It simply, lovingly, continues to offer invitations, each one perfectly calibrated, exquisitely designed, to meet you exactly where you are, to resonate with your current level of readiness. The same essential lesson, the same core truth, might return to you in countless different forms, through the mirror of challenging relationships, through the crucible of work situations, through the wake-up call of health challenges, or through the frustrating blocks in your creative expression. But always, it arrives with the perfect pressure, the precise energetic nudge needed to help you finally recognize what truly wants to evolve, what wants to emerge from within you. When you begin to feel different in this very moment, that's not your imagination conjuring drama or creating illusory sensations. That is your awareness, your deeper self, recognizing its own magnificent expansion. It's like standing in a room you've inhabited for years, walked through countless times, and suddenly, vividly noticing that the walls aren't as solid, as immutable, as they always appeared. You don't need to see the entire intricate blueprint of what's coming to know, with absolute certainty, that something fundamental, something irreversible, is shifting. The recognition itself, this moment of profound insight, is the undeniable beginning of the transformation. Awareness of the sheer possibility is the very first quantum leap, an energetic pivot that reorients your entire trajectory. This brings us to something most people never truly discover about how transformation actually works, a secret hidden in plain sight. Once your consciousness begins to reorganize itself, even subtly, the quantum field around you immediately starts reflecting that profound internal shift back to you, often through what appears to be external confirmation, synchronicities that seem too perfect to be random. But these aren't separate, isolated events happening, times you, from some external source. No. These are your own expanded awareness, your essential self, recognizing itself, reflected back in the quantum field of experience, like a cosmic mirror. Have you ever noticed how certain concepts, certain resonant phrases, or specific ideas begin appearing everywhere, almost magically? Once you're truly ready to understand them, once your energetic receptors are tuned to their frequency, perhaps you overhear someone passionately talking about trusting the process while standing casually in line at a coffee shop. Then, within hours, you see that exact same phrase in a book that randomly falls open to that precise page. This is swiftly followed by a podcast that explores that very theme, delving into its deeper implications. Initially, your rational mind might try to explain this away as mere selective attention. You're simply noticing what was always there, it argues, because you're now consciously paying attention to that specific pattern. But what if it's so much more than that? What if your deep internal readiness to receive certain information, to integrate a new truth, actually, measurably, influences what information appears in your observable field? Quantum physics, the very bedrock of our understanding of reality, profoundly suggests that the observer doesn't just passively witness reality. The observer, through the act of conscious attention, participates actively in creating what ultimately becomes observable. When your consciousness expands to encompass new, higher possibilities, when your energetic signature shifts, the field of experience instantly begins reflecting those possibilities back to you in tangible ways. These are not signs being sent from some external entity or cosmic postman. No, they are direct reflections of your own quantum coherence. Luminous moments when your inner state and your outer experience achieve a perfect, undeniable resonance. Most of us, through years of conditioning, have been trained to dismiss these profound synchronicities as mere wishful thinking or pure coincidence. We've learned to trust only what we can verify through a linear, cause and effect framework, demanding proof that fits our logical boxes. But how many times have you experienced 3 or 4 seemingly unrelated events, all pointing with startling precision toward the same profound insight about relationships, about your creative path, or about your overarching life direction? And in those moments, did you feel that unmistakable, visceral shift in your chest? That deep, internal knowing, that shift, that internal resonance, is your consciousness, recognizing its own reflection in the quantum field. A silent affirmation from the universe itself. Even when your rational mind scrambles to explain it away, to find a logical loophole, something deeper within you, your essential self, knows with absolute certainty that you are witnessing the living mechanics of how awareness profoundly shapes experience. Picture this vivid scenario. You wake up one morning with an unusual sense of expansive spaciousness, feeling somehow more vibrantly present than you have in years. During your morning routine, you suddenly notice how automatic, how unconscious most of your movements have become, and you find yourself slowing down, deliberately, actually savoring and tasting your coffee, truly experiencing its warmth and aroma. Later, while casually reading something completely unrelated, your eyes fall upon a passage, a single paragraph, about the transformative power of mindful presence. That very evening, a close friend unexpectedly mentions how they've been diligently practicing meditation and, out of the blue, asks if you've ever tried it. 3 completely different contexts, 3 seemingly unrelated events, yet they are all, with a singular coherence, inviting you toward the same profound exploration of conscious awareness. This, my friends, is how consciousness elegantly speaks to itself through the field of experience, not through dramatic, lightning bolt revelations or mystical otherworldly visions, but through gentle, persistent, undeniable nudges that subtly, yet powerfully, create a coherent pattern, a tapestry of synchronicity. Scientists, in their quest to categorize, call this phenomenon pattern recognition, a cognitive function. But spiritual traditions, with their ancient wisdom, understand it as the profound intelligence of the universe itself, communicating through the exquisite language of synchronicity, a cosmic dialogue. Both perspectives, from the rational to the mystical, point toward the same undeniable truth. When you are truly ready to evolve, when your energetic signature aligns with growth, the quantum field around you begins to reflect that readiness back to you in ways that become utterly impossible to ignore, demanding your conscious attention. There is an even deeper layer to this, a profound subtlety that most people, even spiritual seekers, often miss. These synchronicities are not just gentle confirmations that you are moving in the right direction, a cosmic thumbs up. They are also powerful, sacred tests of whether you will trust what you are experiencing enough to actually act on it, to take the necessary energetic leap. Every repeated message, every meaningful coincidence that sends shivers down your spine, every moment when the universe seems to wink playfully at you, is also an explicit invitation. An invitation to choose trust over debilitating doubt, expansion over restrictive safety, the thrilling unknown over the comfortable, familiar confines. This, my beloved, is where your true power becomes absolutely undeniable. The very fact that you are present, fully present, to this transmission right now, means you are already actively participating in the quantum field of transformation. Your consciousness has already become coherent enough, attuned enough, to recognize these concepts not as foreign, abstract ideas, but as profound remembrances, echoes of what you already know at the deepest, most cellular level of your being. You are not simply learning something new. You are profoundly remembering how to read the ancient, sacred language your own awareness speaks. Let that truth settle into the quiet depths of your understanding for a moment. Let it permeate your very cells. You are not separate from the cosmic intelligence that orchestrates meaningful coincidences. You are, in essence, that intelligence itself, recognizing its own boundless potential through the exquisite medium of human experience. When you perceive patterns of meaning and synchronicity in your life, you're not merely discovering something outside yourself. You are witnessing your own expanded consciousness, your true, limitless self, perfectly reflected in the infinite quantum field of possibility. But here's where the process of transformation becomes even more precise, more demanding, yet infinitely more rewarding. For these new, higher probability patterns to stabilize into consistent, tangible experience, there has to be energetic space for them to take root, to blossom, to flourish. The universe can faithfully mirror your expanded awareness back to you continuously, showering you with synchronicities and opportunities. But if your life is still rigidly organized around old, contracted patterns, the same reactive relationships that drain your life force, the same limiting beliefs about what's truly possible for you, the same unconscious daily routines that keep you spiritually numb, then there's simply no energetic space, no fertile ground, for the new, expanded reality to establish itself. This, my dear seeker, is where true transformation asks something of you that generic self-help rarely, if ever, mentions. It's not just about adding new practices, new affirmations, or new positive thoughts to your already crowded life. It's about consciously creating sacred space by courageously, lovingly releasing what no longer serves your highest, most authentic evolution. And that act of release, that letting go, often feels profoundly counterintuitive, even terrifying, because it means consciously relinquishing things that feel safe, familiar, and comfortable, even when, on a deeper level, they are slowly, steadily draining your precious life force, siphoning your vital energy. Most people dramatically underestimate how much deep, quiet, courage, real, quantum transformation truly requires. Not the dramatic, headline-grabbing courage of making massive life changes overnight, but the subtle, profound courage of releasing the familiar, deeply ingrained stories you tell yourself about who you are, about what you're capable of, about what's truly possible. Everyone enthusiastically celebrates the idea of becoming someone new, a shiny, improved version of themselves. But few talk about the sacred, messy, yet utterly essential work of composting who you used to be, allowing the old self to gracefully decompose into fertile soil for the new. A seed, poised for magnificent growth, doesn't grow by simply adding more soil on top of itself. It grows by allowing the protective, familiar shell that once contained and shielded it to soften, to dissolve, to gracefully break away, so that the new, vibrant life within can powerfully emerge. Reflect deeply on this truth for a moment. Every authentic, quantum-level transformation demands, absolutely requires, spaciousness, an energetic vacuum in which to unfold. If your consciousness is actively expanding, yet your outer life, your relationships, your habits, your beliefs are still rigidly organized around contraction, around limitation, if you're still maintaining relationships that actively drain your precious energy, still engaging in activities that numb your awareness, still unconsciously telling yourself the same old stories about inherent limitation and unworthiness, then where, truly, can this magnificent expansion actually land? Where can it take root? It's like trying to meticulously plant a vibrant, thriving garden in soil that is still choked, still dominated by the dense, tenacious weeds from last season's old, unexamined patterns. This, precisely, is why the act of letting go feels so incredibly challenging, so exquisitely painful at times. It's not that, on a conscious level, you want to stay stuck in patterns that actively limit your potential. It's that the vast, boundless unknown, despite its promise, feels infinitely more threatening, more precarious, than the familiar, predictable ache of comfortable, known pain. Think deeply about that relationship you've maintained purely out of habit, out of inertia, even though every interaction, every conversation, leaves you feeling smaller, diminished, less vibrant. Or consider the way you've meticulously organized your precious time, your most valuable resource, around obligations that you instinctively know, deep within your being, are simply not aligned with your deepest values, your most authentic desires. Or perhaps it's more subtle, more insidious, the pervasive inner narrative that stubbornly insists you have times to struggle to be worthy of love or success, or the deep-seated belief that real, lasting change only ever happens to other, more fortunate people, never to you. This profound resistance, this internal friction, is not a sign of personal weakness, nor is it a moral failing. It is, in fact, the natural, protective intelligence of the psyche, guarding what feels known, what feels predictable, what offers a semblance of safety, even if that safety is a gilded cage. Picture someone standing right at the precipice, at the very edge of their comfort zone, knowing with absolute certainty that stepping forward means they can never, ever return to who they were before. They are not resisting growth itself. They are feeling the immense magnitude, the sacred weight of what it truly means to allow the familiar, known version of themselves to gracefully, yet irrevocably, dissolve. That feeling of standing between worlds, suspended between the person you have been for so long and the magnificent, emergent person you are rapidly becoming, is one of the most vulnerable, yet ultimately sacred, experiences of being human. This is precisely where you need to understand something so fundamental that it changes absolutely everything about how you perceive your reality and your potential. In the realm of quantum mechanics, there exists a principle known as superposition. This is the radical idea that particles, at the subatomic level, exist in all possible states simultaneously, a swirling cloud of potential, until the act of observation, of conscious attention, collapses them into a single, definitive state. Your life, your entire existence, operates in precisely the same way. Right now, in this very instant, you exist in a state of quantum superposition. You are simultaneously living the reality where you remain exactly the same, clinging to the old, comfortable patterns, and the reality where you transform completely, utterly, and magnificently. The pivotal moment, the quantum leap, occurs when you consciously, decisively choose to release what no longer serves you, what no longer aligns with your highest evolution. In that very act, you effectively collapse the wave function. You make a conscious, energetic choice, shifting yourself into the timeline, the probable reality, where transformation is not just a possibility, but an absolute, breathtaking inevitability. Look to nature for profound guidance here, for she speaks in timeless parables. A butterfly, in its sublime elegance, does not emerge from its chrysalis by simply adding a pair of wings to a caterpillar. No, the caterpillar, in an act of profound metamorphosis, has to literally dissolve, to melt into an undifferentiated soup of cellular potential, a primordial goo of pure possibility, before the magnificent butterfly can reorganize itself from that very same foundational matter. The dissolution, the melting, is not a death in the traditional sense. It is, in fact, a complete, radical reorganization at the most fundamental, quantum level of being. Every major, authentic transformation in your life, every profound shift, follows this same cosmic pattern. The version of yourself that skillfully navigated and brought you to this point in your journey has to become fluid enough, malleable enough, for a brand new, higher configuration to elegantly emerge. Psychologists, in their scientific pursuit of understanding, have meticulously documented this process and given it the clinical name of cognitive disintegration, the necessary breakdown of old, rigid mental structures before new, more adaptive, more expansive ones can consciously form. What these scientists are describing with their precise, empirical language is the exact same profound process that mystics, sages, and spiritual traditions throughout millennia have always referred to as ego death, or spiritual rebirth, or the dark night of the soul. The language, the cultural framework, might differ, but the underlying quantum mechanics, the fundamental energetic process, is absolutely identical. Something deep within you, something intimately familiar, has to become unknown to itself, has to enter a state of fluid potential, before something truly new, truly authentic, can be born from that sacred void. But here's what makes this entire process sacred, revered, rather than just inherently difficult or painful. Every moment of dissolution, every unsettling fear that arises as you courageously let go of the familiar, every tear that gently falls as you release what you once thought you desperately needed to be happy. These are not signs of failure, nor are they evidence of weakness. They are, in fact, the undeniable birth contractions of your magnificent new life. You are not falling apart. You are actively, beautifully composting, turning the old into the fertile, nutrient-rich soil from which your most profound, most authentic transformation will gloriously grow. Think about someone who has just, with immense courage, walked away from a career that, for years, provided a comfortable, predictable security, but, beneath the surface, slowly, relentlessly starved their very soul. The first few weeks after that monumental decision often feel empty, almost hollow, a vast, echoing silence. Their days lack the familiar, comforting structure. Their very identity feels uncertain, untethered, without the well-defined role they played for so many years. But slowly, gradually, in that very emptiness, in that sacred void, something utterly unexpected, something breathtakingly new, begins to gently emerge. They notice they're breathing differently, perhaps for the first time truly consciously. They find themselves engaging in conversations that feel more authentic, more deeply connected, more real than anything they've experienced in ages. They wake up each morning with a nascent, unfamiliar curiosity about the unfolding day, instead of the familiar, heavy dread they once carried. That newfound peace, that deep sense of inner calm, isn't just a simple relief from what they left behind. It is the powerful, undeniable first evidence of who they are rapidly becoming. This, my dear friend, is precisely how you can reframe, recontextualize your own ongoing process of release. Every ache of letting go, every moment of unsettling uncertainty, every fear that whispers about what comes next, none of it is evidence that you are losing something essential, something irreplaceable. It is, instead, profound proof that you are actively, courageously, making energetic space for what truly wants to be born through you, what longs to express itself as your highest potential. You are not destroying your life in a reckless act. You are, with profound intention, creating the spaciousness, the fertile void, necessary for your life to gracefully reorganize itself around what is most deeply, most authentically true for you. The choice becomes sacred when you understand it in this profound way. Because in this very moment, as you are watching this transmission, as you are feeling whatever is stirring, whatever is awakening in your awareness, you are not just a passive recipient of information. No, you are an active, conscious participant in the vibrant field of consciousness, exploring its own infinite potential through your unique, individual human experience. Every single time you choose growth over the illusion of safety, trust over debilitating fear, expansion over contraction, you are literally, energetically offering your life as a sacred vehicle for evolution itself. For the grand cosmic unfolding, take a profound moment right now and comment below with this powerful, declarative phrase: I am ready to release what no longer serves my highest evolution. Don't just type the words casually, mindlessly. Feel them deeply, profoundly, as a sacred declaration, a powerful, energetic signature broadcast directly to the quantum field itself. This isn't just about social media engagement or a fleeting interaction. This is you, consciously, deliberately interrupting the old, repeating loop of who you've been, and boldly signaling your undeniable readiness to collapse into, to embody, who you are magnificently becoming. You did not find this transmission by mere accident. The undeniable fact that you are still present, still listening, still resonating with these profound concepts, means your consciousness is already actively reorganizing itself around new, higher possibilities. Life, in its infinite wisdom, does not place these potent frequencies in front of just anyone. It reserves them, with divine precision, for the ones whose awareness has become coherent enough to genuinely receive them, and brave enough, courageous enough, to actually act on them, to embody them. That, my friend, is you right now, in this very moment. If this transmission is touching something deep within your understanding, if you can feel the resonant truth of what's being shared here, vibrating and awakening in your body, then I invite you to subscribe, not just to this channel, but to this profound, expansive frequency itself. Because what we are exploring together isn't merely content to passively consume. It is a living, breathing transmission that wants to live through you, to express itself as your transformed, magnificent life. Subscribing is your conscious, energetic way of staying coherent, staying aligned with this powerful field of possibility as it continues to gracefully unfold. The more often you expose your awareness to these potent frequencies, the more stable, the more deeply rooted your new configuration, your new reality becomes. Transformation isn't a one-time linear event, a finish line to be crossed. It's an ongoing, dynamic reorganization of consciousness that absolutely requires consistent coherence with expanded possibilities, a continuous alignment. By staying connected to this sacred space, you are actively creating the optimal conditions for your evolution to stabilize into a permanent, embodied experience, rather than remaining a fleeting, temporary inspiration. Now, let's explore something that will fundamentally shift how you understand the mechanics, the very art of transformation itself. Most people approach the idea of change from the ingrained assumption that they need to fix something, that they are broken and need repair, or that they need to somehow improve who they are. But quantum consciousness reveals something far more profound, far more liberating. You are not broken, and you are not in need of repair. You are, in your essence, an infinite field of pure potential that has been unconsciously, through conditioning and belief, collapsed into a limited, contracted pattern of experience. The work, therefore, isn't about the arduous task of times becoming times someone new. It is about the joyous, profound act of times remembering times the unlimited, boundless nature of what you have always been, beyond all temporary forms. Think about water for a moment, a simple yet profound example. Whether it appears as solid ice, flowing liquid, or ethereal vapor, it is always, intrinsically, H2O. The molecular structure, the fundamental essence, remains constant, unchanging, while the outer form elegantly changes based on environmental conditions, temperature, pressure, the energetic environment. Your consciousness, your essential being, works in a remarkably similar way. Whether you experience yourself as anxious or peaceful, limited or abundant, stuck or flowing effortlessly, you are always, at your core, the same fundamental, eternal awareness. What changes, what shifts, are the environmental conditions of your inner world, the beliefs you hold, the thoughts you entertain, the emotional patterns you unconsciously generate, the narratives you identify with. These are the conditions that ultimately determine which version of yourself becomes observable, which reality you collapse into. This, my dear friend, is where quantum mechanics, with its rigorous scientific inquiry, exquisitely intersects with mystical understanding, with ancient spiritual wisdom, in the most practical, actionable way possible. In the quantum field, particles, those fundamental building blocks of reality, exist as vast, swirling probability clouds until the act of conscious observation collapses them into specific, observable locations. Your life, your entire probable future, exists as a luminous probability cloud of infinite potential until your conscious attention, your focused awareness, collapses it into specific, tangible experiences. Every single morning when you awaken, when your consciousness stirs, you are literally, through your awareness, choosing which version of reality to collapse into manifestation through precisely where you choose to place your awareness. But here's what makes this process so incredibly subtle and simultaneously so profoundly powerful. You're not just making this choice with your conscious, rational mind, the part that thinks it's in charge. You are making this choice with every single layer of your being. Your deeply ingrained subconscious beliefs, your habitual emotional patterns, your cellular memory, even the ancient echoes of your ancestral programming. These unconscious layers are constantly, relentlessly, broadcasting their own unique signals, their own energetic frequencies, into the quantum field, often profoundly contradicting what your conscious mind thinks it wants, what it overtly desires. This, precisely, is why willpower alone, sheer mental effort, rarely creates true, lasting, quantum-level change. You are attempting to override a vast, complex quantum field that is being generated by multiple, powerful levels of your psyche simultaneously, often in conflict. Let me give you a precise, vivid example of how this intricate mechanism works. Imagine someone who consciously, with great earnestness, desires profound financial abundance, visualizes wealth, and takes logical action toward financial goals. Yet, deep within their unconscious mind, they carry deeply ingrained, often inherited beliefs about money being inherently corrupting, or that truly spiritual people must, by definition, be poor, or that wealth comes with overwhelming burdens. While their conscious mind is actively visualizing abundance and taking outward action, their unconscious programming is simultaneously broadcasting powerful signals of unworthiness, of lack, and a deep, underlying fear of having too much. The quantum field, impartial and exquisitely responsive, receives these mixed signals, this incoherent energetic static, and naturally reflects back experiences that match the dominant frequency, which, more often than not, is the unconscious one, simply because it operates with far more emotional charge, more energetic consistency, and deeper root. This is why true transformation, lasting change, has to be approached as a full-spectrum, holistic reorganization of consciousness, not merely a mental decision to think differently or be positive. You absolutely have to become deeply aware of, and then consciously realign, the unconscious patterns, the hidden energetic programs that are actively creating your current reality before new, higher possibilities can stabilize into consistent, observable experience. It's akin to tuning a complex, multi-stringed instrument. Every single string, every nuanced energetic layer, has to be meticulously adjusted to create perfect, harmonic resonance, a symphony of alignment. The ancient traditions, with their profound, intuitive wisdom, understood this intricate process intimately and developed specific, powerful practices meticulously designed to access and lovingly reprogram these deeper, unconscious layers of being. Meditation, in this context, is not merely relaxation or stress relief. It is consciousness, learning to observe its own intricate patterns, its own energetic currents, without becoming identified with them, without being swept away. Breathwork, profoundly practiced, isn't just about oxygenating the body. It's a powerful tool for using the autonomic nervous system to access and gently release deeply held cellular programming, ancestral trauma, and energetic blockages. Dream work, when approached with reverence, isn't just psychological exploration. It is a direct, symbolic communication channel with the unconscious mind, conversing in its own rich, symbolic language. But you don't need to become a master of ancient practices overnight to begin this vital work, to embark on this journey. You can start right now, today, by developing what I call quantum awareness, the profound ability to observe the thoughts, the emotions, and the physical sensations arising in your field of experience without automatically believing they define who you are, without automatically identifying with them. This conscious act creates sacred space, an energetic gap between your essential awareness, your true unchanging self, and the temporary patterns, the fleeting phenomena, moving through it. This space, this conscious detachment, is the definitive first step in gaining conscious influence, conscious mastery, over what you ultimately collapse into your reality. Practice this powerful technique right now, in this very moment. Notice whatever thoughts are currently present in your mind. Instead of thinking those thoughts, instead of engaging with their narrative, simply observe them, dispassionately, the way you might watch ephemeral clouds gracefully moving across an endless sky. Notice any emotions present in your body, any subtle energetic shifts. Instead of being those emotions, instead of being consumed by them, simply feel them as pure energy patterns, as transient vibrations, moving through the vast, open space of your awareness. Notice any physical sensations, any aches, any tingles. Instead of identifying with them, instead of claiming them as yours, simply experience them as neutral information, arising and dissolving in your expansive field of perception. This simple yet revolutionary shift, from being your experience to simply observing your experience, is the profound beginning of quantum mastery, your first step towards true self-sovereignty. When you realize, deeply, fundamentally, that you are the awareness in which all experience appears, you begin to understand, with absolute clarity, that you inherently have choice about which experiences you choose to energize with your precious attention, and which ones you simply allow to dissolve naturally, gracefully, back into the field of pure potential.